Cormac Bates 161796668. So this is my week 7 monologue, and I guess a bit of a strange week this week. So I had kind of started looking at how I was going to process my raw material. That was at the start of the week, and before I got my feedback. So I kind of haven't had a chance to go back and address the feedback I received just yet. So I'm kind of at it. I haven't moved on in that sense yet. What I had done was started to look at how I was going to process the raw material that I had gathered for upcycling so far. But as I said, this week's been sort of a funny one, so it seems like we might not need it for the project itself. So I suppose I'll just run through what my intentions were. So I had kind of gathered a whole bed frame. It was actually a bunk bed, but it had a white coating on it. It was almost like a plastic coating. So I just tested it at home with a small bit of a scraper, and it seemed to come off relatively easy. Now it was only pine underneath, so I was just going to strip them back with this scraper. I was going to use the two wide lengths at either end of the top and the bottom of the bed for the project. It's what I had planned to use anyway, because the middle pieces were quite thin. Then down to the bottom left hand side of the screen is an old tabletop. So it actually came out of a coffee shop. It was just a big sort of a table, old style table in one of them, and again it was pine and varnished, and I had previously used a section of the corner for another project I was completing at home, but I sanded off the varnish that time and it came off relatively easy. It was only a light coat, so again I just said there it was just varnished pine, and I'd used a drum sander. Would be easiest to take off that thin layer of varnish, and also sides or bevels, so they would have been needed to cut off. And then to the right of the screen, the centre of the bed frame. So the top picture just shows all the boards taken out, bottom is where they came from, so they're untreated or unfinished, so they were kind of ready to use, and I kind of had use for almost all of them, I would have thought, for the project. But now we've seen as this week, the way this week has kind of panned out, it's seeming like a prototype will be submitted instead. So I kind of will have to go towards making a SolidWorks model, because a physical model will kind of be difficult for me to gather enough materials for that, as I was unable to get them on Thursday from the college. So I'm kind of looking at a SolidWorks model at the minute, but I feel I should be able to create a good quality SolidWorks model that'll show all the features, and should be able to sort of show the main sort of design and main features to the artifact. So I feel that should be sufficient. So now for this coming week I plan to go back on my feedback that I received, so and just address the key points in that, and then just lock down the design, and I say make up maybe the prototype. Hopefully towards the end of this week have that much done, and get moving then with just going back over the portfolio and just sort of really finalising everything in there before moving on. So that's the main aim for this week. And I suppose in terms of everything else,